What's up, everybody? It is Kid Smooth back with a video, and today we're gonna do some sort of reaction to the Xbox business update. This has been long awaited, mostly anticipated. This is the day that the Xbox brand is supposed to implode and get rid of all consoles exclusive and give them to the PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch and render the Xbox brand dead. That's what we were all led to believe. Now, to kind of give you a heads up, guys, some backtracking in the background. Okay. Earlier, I think I want to say in January, there was rumblings of Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves going to PlayStation and Nintendo. We was like, okay, we didn't understand it. We were curious of why. We really wanted to know why, if it was true. But it was really Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves. That was the original rumor. I think that came from like Nate the Hate, and I think Steven Totillo and Jeff Grubb cooperated to Sea of Thieves. And it was like, okay, we had some reactions. Some of us was like, it doesn't make any sense. And I think the reason why we really have more questions to it is it's like, okay, well, what does this mean for the other games, right? But it was manageable. The response was manageable. And then the Xbox Direct came and we kind of like almost forgot about it. It was like, okay, Avowed, Indiana Jones and Hellblade 2 all look great. All right, whatever, cool, let's go. And then the rumors started coming up again with Hi-Fi Rush getting t-shirts and all this other stuff. And then it was like, okay. But then it started getting crazy and the rumors started progressing to like Starfield, to Indiana Jones, to Halo, to Gears of War, to Flight Sim, to Forza. I'm like, bro, like what's going on? So that literally, I think when those journalists, the toxic journalists, started cooperating, and it wasn't like, every journalist that broke news that has sources. I'm talking about Tom Warren. I'm talking about Jeff Grubb. I'm talking about Jez Corden. I'm talking about Nate the Hate. I'm talking about Xbox Era. Everybody was corroborating these rumors. You had Mags getting information, Colt getting information, and pretty much leading us to like, yo, this is what they're about to do. And so Tim Dog went off the wagon. I went off the wagon, of course. Me being a little bit immature about the whole thing. I really had a problem with it because people don't understand. I'm a fan of Xbox, the brand, the game, the ecosystem. I like Xbox. I'm not a fan of Microsoft. Microsoft, it is what it is. But Xbox, I'm a fan of. So that's why I can go out and freely say, yeah, I would love for, Meta or Apple to buy Xbox and be fine with it. Because I'm not in love with Microsoft. I like Xbox. Like Microsoft just happened to be the parent company of Xbox. If Microsoft had nothing to do with Xbox, I would just be be involved with Microsoft by default as I'm currently am. So when so it kind of threw us off for a loop because it's like, yo, Xbox is going to essentially die because why would they do this? Do they not care about like it? A lot of us, it bothered us to the core because of the internet wars we'd have to fight online. Some of us have brands and content and identities identified with Xbox and stuff like that. So again, it's still an odd move, but it got so bad that Xbox had to respond some way or the other because something about this was true. So they announced that they will be doing a business update. And earlier this week, they confirmed it will be taking place during a special edition of the podcast. And here we are today. So let's get it started, man.
And we want to talk about hardware too and how all of this fits into the strategy at Xbox. So where should we start, Phil?
Well, when we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably would have started with Activision Blizzard, maybe talked a little bit about the exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out. So let's just go and tackle.
Okay. So he said they were planning for this in December, so this was always going to happen. But I think this would have been more so like the Activision Blizzard's roundtable. Like the event that they were supposed to do was probably going to be more so dedicated to Activision Blizzard, and these were just going to be strays that was thrown in. And because some of the things that they talked about is getting jerked around, they had to force to pivot and go earlier. I can imagine that their Activision roundtable would have happened in March, towards the end of March, or start of spring, and they would have given us Diablo as a stealth drop in the Game Pass, and would have given us some update on when the rest of the games are coming out. I believe that would have happened, and they would have addressed some of this multi-platform stuff that they're doing with these select games. So I'll let Phil Spencer continue here.
The exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people. We hear from the community, and that's an important input for us. So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles, just 4 games, not a change to our kind of fundamental exclusive strategy. We're making these decisions for some specific reasons. We make every decision really with the long-term health of Xbox in mind. And long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching as many players as we can. We're always looking to learn as a leadership team and to grow. And we think this is an interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right now to help grow our franchises. So we're going to do that.
Okay. So 4 games. He made it clear to say 4 games because, again, when the rumors were coming out, they were listing a whole slate, and it was a whole slate of 10-pole IPs. I'm talking Halo, Gears, Starfield, Indiana Jones, like that. These journalists would not let it. It's like I don't know what it was, but it went on for days, hours. Every hour was a new game added to. This is being considered. So clears up with 4 titles. No, and spoiler alert, he does not name the 4 titles. He will allow the studios to do that, and chances are these guys are in bed with Nintendo. Nintendo probably has a Nintendo Direct coming up fairly soon, where Hi-Fi Rush will at least show up. It would have to. Hi-Fi Rush shows up at a Nintendo Direct. Maybe Sea of Thieves shows up at a Nintendo Direct. Maybe these are like a thing where Hi-Fi Rush lands on Nintendo first, and then Sea of Thieves lands on PlayStation first, and then probably Nintendo later. Who knows? Because porting games isn't easy. They're doing the work. They're investing into it. But let's let them continue. The 4 games, based off the description of what he says, the 4 games are easily high because they don't name it, but we know Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and the other 2 I think is Pentiment and Grounded. They meet what he says here.
So these 4 titles, what are they? Can you say?
I'm not going to name those games. The teams that are building those games have announced plans that are not too far away. As we know, game teams put a lot of energy into their announcements with the partners. So I don't want to take anything away from those teams. So I won't be talking about the titles specifically, but I think when they come out, it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
They are not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Well, what was the criteria and how the team was thinking about selecting those 4?
All right, so that was important, right? It is not Starfield and Indiana Jones, and he had to. These are. They vetted these questions. They probably created these questions. They wanted to kill whatever Xbox fans and fanboys would be afraid of hearing. It's like, yeah, we're bringing 4 games, but those 4 games are not the biggest games that stood out in a lot of these rumors that were driven by the toxic journalists. So Starfield was thrown around several times. They said Starfield will be ported to PlayStation shortly after the Shattered the upcoming DLC that they got for Starfield is an expansion coming out for Starfield this year. That it'll be ported to PlayStation 5 shortly after that. And then from what I hear, for the people who have info in the know, it's like there's no Starfield port in the works, so I don't know when this is all happening. But The other thing was Indiana Jones. Like I said, there was reports that Indiana Jones is going to come out on PlayStation shortly after Xbox and PC. And they are clearly, wanting to put that. This is a lot of damage control, a lot of PR stuff here. But I'll let them finish.
Titles.
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because the fundamental decision driver for any decision that we make, anything we're going to talk about today, is the long-term health of Xbox. That we're running a growing platform that is reaching more players, that our games are having as much success as possible. And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10 years, exclusive games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware, are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry. And that's not some great insight.
All right, this is exactly true. He says within 5 to 10 years, exclusive being to one platform, unless Nintendo has anything to do with that. I don't think so. But he's mostly right here because, and this is what I don't like about the discourse online. This is why I don't like your Red Dragons. And though I respect Red Dragon as a person, outside of the stuff he does to purposely grift and upset people or fanboys online. But the stuff that he's driving, the stuff that Nick Marcelli and a couple of these other people and Tom Warren, he's like egging us on, is that they want to write the narrative. They want to be like, all right, forget what you say. This is what's happening, as if they like. So they like to like draw up. They'll extract certain things and then they make a new announcement based off like stuff that Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond or Matt Booty didn't say. So he said within 5 to 10 years he sees games being less exclusive to one device. This is true. Xbox, obviously, there is no true Xbox exclusive unless you have to go back to games that haven't been like ported. But Xbox hadn't really an exclusive game since 2015, and that would be Halo 5, like Guardians. Every game since then has launched simultaneously on Xbox and PC. It used to be just Xbox and Windows or Xbox Store on PC, but now because UWP failed and didn't have a crazy adoption, and the Xbox Store on PC is not that great, doesn't have the adoption, they now launch day and date on Steam. Xbox, it was at first, it hurt, it burned when we heard about Quantum Break and stuff like that. We had that whole fiasco, but at the end of the day, it made no difference. Some people went with PC, some people and a lot of people still maintain gaming on Xbox, but it's become a thing, it's a norm. We don't really care. Matter of fact, the whole narrative has changed around a game's success based off its release on Steam. A la Helldivers. Everybody's talking about Helldivers, but everybody's talking about Helldivers and its numbers on Steam. What about the PlayStation numbers? Like, nobody's talking about it. They only care PlayStation, diehard PlayStation console only guys are talking about how well Helldivers is doing on Steam. Back when Starfield was popping and they had to keep their mouth shut until the numbers dropped, they only talked about how the numbers were dropping on Steam. So yes, I believe, there will be no exclusive. They're like my Xbox experience right now takes place on multiple devices. I play a lot of my smaller games on Xbox Game Pass on a Rogue Ally, which is a mobile PC that can play Game Pass natively. I play some select games on PC. I play a couple games on Game Pass on my MetaQuest 3 via the cloud gaming app. I tried Starfield on my Samsung TV through cloud gaming. So we have multiple devices. I have multiple devices where I can play an Xbox game or experience an Xbox on outside of Xbox. I still prefer Xbox though. But let's carry on.
Because if you look at the last 10 years and what the biggest games are today, it's a natural place. Whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC, you see big games landing on multiple platforms. And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying to realize that potential. But now back to the specifics of the question on these four specific titles. We looked at games that are over a year old, so they've been on Xbox and PC for a while. A couple of the games are community-driven games, new games that kind of first iterations of a franchise that have reached their full potential, I'd say, on Xbox and PC. There's always growth. Franchises that we obviously want to continue to invest in. Part of having the ability to continue to invest is that the businesses behind those franchises continue. We think it's important that these service-based games that have communities behind them, that they can have confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So 2 of them, kind of community-driven games that will end up on other platforms and give us the ability to.
All right, so he gave us the answer right there, right? He says, so they said 4 games. He says a couple of games are community-based games, so okay, at least 2 of them are multiplayer. And the other 2, and the other things that they've been on Xbox for a while. Sea of Thieves has been on Xbox since 2018, so we're looking at 6 years. Honestly, where it releases next is completely irrelevant. Honestly, it's irrelevant. Like, I get it, but it's like I can't even front. I tried to get into Sea of Thieves. Like, I tried to, but the thing is that I never could get into it the way I wanted to. I played a couple of times here and there. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. I know it's successful in its own right. It's one of the thing I look at is like, this is a homegrown IP from Xbox that kind of survived the Xbox One, and it's got a really huge community behind it and is thriving. The other ones is like, for example, Hi-Fi Rush is a year old. It didn't, even though it got positive reception, you guys on Xbox, man, like on Game Pass, whatever, like the game has potential. It needs to reach the masses. So I understand the concept about this. And the thing is, Japanese studio doing this game, and that's a huge audience that hasn't touched the game or seen the game because, Xbox isn't popular in Japan at all. Grounded's been on Xbox since 2020 when you consider the game preview. It's a community base, could benefit for more players. It is what it is. It's not it's not a staple. It's not a staple, but it's like something like, okay, cool. Pentiment is not my type of game. Shout out to Obsidian. Like I said, with Obsidian, I think all their games are great. It just, with me, it's either hit or miss. They either make a game I'm going to mess with or they don't. You know what I mean? I mess with Outer Worlds. It looks like I'm definitely going to mess with Avowed. I don't mess with Pentiment. Grounded was like that. So it's like, all right, if I could do it with a friend, I could do it. So I believe those are the 4 games. Those are the 4 games. Honestly, dude, have at it. Release those shits on PlayStation now. Release them on PlayStation now.
To continue to invest in them. We think that's great for the business and great for the communities, more players to play with. I'd say 2 of the other games are smaller games that were never really meant to be built as kind of platform exclusives and all the fanfare that goes around that, but games that our teams really wanted to go build, that we love supporting creative endeavors across our studios regardless of size. And as they've realized their full potential on Xbox and PC, we see an opportunity to utilize the other platforms as a place to just drive more business value out of those games, allowing us to invest in maybe future iterations of those, so sequels to those, or just other games like that in our portfolio. And when we don't damage Xbox and we can grow our business using what other platforms have and to help us with that, we're going to do that. And that's really the story behind these 4 games. And last thing,
he says the biggest thing is that the biggest concern was like damaging the Xbox brand. And he says when we don't damage Xbox. So pretty much what he's looking at is that I understand where Xbox and Microsoft is at and stuff like that. Xbox is not the best selling console. It doesn't have the most users. It's like and honestly, I do wish other publishers or platform holders like PlayStation, Nintendo would do something like this. It's me being self, because I'm not going to buy a PS3 anytime soon, and I'm not going to rebuy a PS4, whatever. There's these games that are just extremely like old that are just tied down to the PS3, or PS4 for no reason. It's not like they were like super successful. They're just exclusive just because, right? It's like, why not just let them free, release them to anybody that wants to buy it. So in this case, the way he's looking at these games that they're about to port onto PlayStation and Nintendo, which is Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, Pentiment, and I think Sea of Thieves, they're not a situation where it's going to harm them. It shouldn't harm them. Nobody should be able to be like, I'm not going to buy an Xbox because Sea of Thieves is now on PlayStation. I'm not going to buy an Xbox because Grounded is now on PlayStation. These are games. These are games that they're trying to get people to play on the cloud, on the Rogue, on the MetaQuest and stuff. They're trying to get people to jump on like any device to play those type of games. These aren't tempo games. They're decent. I think the best game out of that bunch by far, to me, in my opinion, is Hi-Fi Rush. But they're decent games, and these are smaller games too. These are smaller games, with the exception of Sea of Thieves. Now, Sea of Thieves is a bigger game, and it became bigger over time. But he doesn't feel that these games would tarnish the brand or the trust. Where if it was a Halo, if it was a Gears, if it was a Starfield,
say
it
looking
might.
forward, I think there is an interesting story for us of introducing Xbox franchises to players on other platforms to get them more interested in Xbox. We think there's a good brand value for Xbox there. So
he says, would like to introduce players games on other platforms to get those people interested in Xbox. Like, it's like what PlayStation has been utilizing by porting their games to PC, right? So they'll wait a year or so to bring like a PlayStation, to bring a Spider-Man, to bring God of War or Horizon to PC, hoping that when they put out their next game, the sequel, the follow-up, obviously is going to be exclusive to the console, and those PC players will initially buy on a PlayStation and consume those games there rather than wait. This is almost the same concept. Now, what they're doing, obviously, they're going to be putting these games on there. It's going to be a slow drip, slow burn, just how it was on PC, but probably even slower. You get a concept like, hey, all these games are available on Xbox, and if you're on an Xbox, they're also in Game Pass, so you don't have to really like buy them. But yeah.
4 games, no promise beyond that. So if you're on those other platforms and you see these 4 games coming, please don't take it as some signal that everything's coming. It's not.
This is why, again, this is exactly what Tom Warren with Red Dragon, with Nick Marcelli, with all these people, individuals on Twitter are doing right now. He literally says, just these 4 games, don't take it as a signal that we're just going to bring all of our games over. That's not how it's going. He's literally telling you it's not like a sign that but everybody says F that. And maybe this is the Xbox fault for not being, consistent. But the thing is, it's clear. This is what made me satisfied with the thing. Honestly, what made me satisfied with the whole situation. It's clear as day. No, this does not. He's clearly saying, no, this does not mean Starfield, Halo, all these other games are going to come. They're doing these 4 games. Sure. Do I think more games will come eventually? Eventually. But the thing is, Xbox have a ton of games on PlayStation, Nintendo. They got Minecraft, the Minecraft sub games. You got Psychonauts 2. You got Cuphead and Ori and whatnot. So it's like, really, honestly, I won't be surprised if Battletoads sneak away there. Redfall, hopefully. It's not that big of a deal. And I know I'm singing a different tune than I did a couple weeks ago, but I think I matured a little bit over the couple of days, and I'm going to mature even more by the time this stuff actually starts happening.
And we're going to learn.
So when you are thinking about the future and this concept of live service games, games that can benefit from bigger audiences, new audiences, how does that apply to future titles and how you're applying that criteria there?
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change to how we think about exclusivity. We just came out of Developer Direct, which was an awesome show, where we showed great games that are coming to Xbox and PC and cloud, which really makes them accessible to hundreds of millions of people. So it's this kind of
Again, they reassuring you, like, they're pretty much saying their strategic on their strategy around exclusives hasn't changed. It has, but it hasn't. And there it's like he's telling a truth and a half truth, because he's actually being truthful. If you think about it, Xbox has truly not had an exclusive for the better half of 10 years, almost 10 years, right? Their games have been very much accessible ever since this Play Anywhere push. Ever since they got cloud game push, their stuff has been available anywhere you can access that. Anywhere you can access Xbox cloud gaming, anywhere you can access Xbox Game Pass, you have access to these games. And you may not have an Xbox, but you have access to these games, and also Steam. So when you consider the Xbox Developer Direct, he's like, okay, yeah, like Indiana Jones, Hellblade 2, that was a Avowed, that was all showed at Xbox Developer Direct. But those games they're exclusive, but they're multi-platform. They're exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem, the Xbox Game Pass, PC, cloud. Which meaning, like, even if you don't have a PlayStation, you still have access to these games, dude. Even if you have a PlayStation and you don't have an Xbox, you still have access to those games. So he's like, it's really consistent on what they've been doing.
We're really focused on a couple platforms and what's going to show up there. But our key of play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, when everybody plays, we all win. These have been part of our strategy for years and will continue to be. Our focus is on how do we continue to grow the games industry by reaching more players in more places, and how do we grow Xbox as part of that. Xbox is a hardware platform, Xbox is a publisher of great games, and Xbox as a platform for the world's best creators.
And then knowing that, how do we think about our first-party games and Game Pass?
Yeah, well, to build on what Phil just said, one thing I would add, as you were talking about growth, is just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years, where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing.
That's right.
And the games would sort of tuck in within the platform. Today, big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one platform.
Yeah,
and that really has changed the way that we think about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core principles. First, that all of our games will be on the Xbox platform.
Okay.
Second, all of our games will go into Game Pass on day one. And third, we know that Game Pass will only be available on Xbox.
All right, so they just killed like about several rumors. They killed the thought process I had, meaning I was like, all right, if they're gonna bring all these games onto PlayStation and Nintendo, that means they found a way to get these a Game Pass native app on PlayStation and Nintendo. They just confirmed Game Pass ain't going on Nintendo or PlayStation. They won't let them. We're just not in a situation where they're gonna let them. So they asked that Game Pass only exists on Xbox and PC. All right, boom. Also, another narrative. Now, I don't know where this came from. I think this came from as people start to walk back their rumors, to walk back some of the crazy things they were saying, where they were saying games won't be day one on Game Pass. They were like, games are going to remain exclusive, so some games, but we can't keep games day one on Game Pass. And then they were asking, would you rather exclusive or day one games day one on Game Pass? And a lot of people, I think it was like people were picking the exclusive over day one on Game Pass. Like they were sacrificing day one on Game Pass just for the ability for somebody else to get the game sometime later down the line. Now, so Game Pass isn't going anywhere. Day one Game Pass isn't going anywhere. I'm happy because that was a tough one. I was like, at that point, I said, that's tough, because I was like, then now we're actually screwing ourselves by making a choice like that. So happy that's a thing, and we know Xbox games are gonna continue to release on Xbox. So happy he clarified that.
So there's sort of starting points for us. As Phil mentioned, there are games today that you can play that only can be found on Xbox. And at the same time, we want to bring more of our games to more players. So we're going to continue to look at that. Kind of moving aside, though, from some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the player, to me, the two key things are cross-play and cross-save. Those things allow us to deliver on the promise of Xbox, which is play with your friends where they are, play on the devices you want, play the games you want. So that is really only possible at a practical level when you know that your saves and your player are going to be able to move across all those parts. So not all of our games today are necessarily built to take advantage of that. There still will be some games that don't. As we bring more teams into the Xbox family, there's some catch up to do as we get there. But that cross-play, cross-save is like so fundamental to what we're doing, and I think is something that we as first party get such a good benefit from being so close to the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said, all of our games are always in Game Pass. And so I'm excited to announce, with the coming together that we had with Activision Blizzard King, that Activision and Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass, starting with Diablo 4 on March 28th, which I'm super, super excited to share today. And it's all part of our commitment to make the Xbox experience and the games that we build as widely available as possible. So now the 34 million Game Pass members can all enjoy the fantastic experience of Diablo 4.
Amazing.
All right, so they announced that Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass on March 28th. Nice. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Call of Duty and all those other Activision games, which you can tell that probably, again, this meeting was probably supposed to happen a little bit further down in the future where they can give us, this where Diablo probably would have been a shadow drop and everything else would have probably had some sort of dates to follow. They also mentioned the 34 million Game Pass users. So when you consider Game Pass, the Xbox Live subscription that they converted to Game Pass users, Game Pass last announced 25 million. So that means there was only 9 million people. 9 million people remaining that didn't subscribe. So 34. It's a bad number, but it's relatively low. When you consider. But then again, I kind of. I'm just like I don't like gaming journalists. They're not good. You know what I mean? It's cool when they're breaking like good news or like stuff exciting, but when it comes to things, there's this always when it comes to game reviews and leaks and being able to control the narrative or wanting to be the first to do something, and it gets out of control and nobody wants to admit that they were wrong, and they're not going to admit that they were wrong. So what they're going to do is they're going to say they're going to rewrite what Phil and Cole said. They're going to rewrite. Like their stuff is all that correct, but I have to do some growing personally. Myself, I can't speak for anybody else, but I have to do some growing and maturing. Honestly, I'm an Xbox fan. I like gaming. I like gaming on Xbox. My gaming, I prefer I don't know when I last turned on my PlayStation for Spider-Man 2. Most of my games going to be done between the Xbox, and the most of a change is going to happen is that I'm incorporating Rogue Ally a little bit more. I'm incorporating my PC a little bit more, and my MetaQuest VR a little bit more. And when I say I need to mature, I don't think, my dude Meds asked me a question. He was like, "Yo, at the end of the day, like, how do you feel about this? What do you feel about this?" I was like, I don't feel anything. I'm not. I have nothing to be proud of or nothing to be sad about. Xbox. Honestly, I don't think I would. I don't think I care if Xbox ports any games to PlayStation or Nintendo. You know what I mean? Because I think console gaming, us in this space, we're immature. We're the only medium, like, as far as when you consider movies, music, when you consider like all the devices we own, every device that we own, there's no exclusive thing other than preference. Some of us prefer Apple over Android and stuff like that, but we use them literally for the same thing. There's no Twitter exclusive to like iPhone. You know what I mean? It's like we're immature. There's this sense of entitlement, and personally, I don't think I care. I don't think I care anymore. So let them have these games. This Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, whatever. It is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever they launch, because at the end of the day, it's like I don't know what I have to gain from a game being exclusive. Now I'm going to this is going to make people mad. Yeah, would I prefer to have every single game that exists? Would I have it? I would prefer to have it available on my preferred platform. That is true. I love Spider-Man. I would prefer to have it playable on Xbox. If I could buy Spider-Man for Xbox, that's where I would buy and play it at. You know what I mean? So that's why otherwise I buy the majority of my games I buy on Xbox. If Spider-Man was available on Xbox, I would buy it. I wish PlayStation would release some of its older games on Xbox as it releases them on PC, because what's the point? I don't you know what I mean? I don't care. Personally, I don't care about Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, and Grounded like that. It's like, okay. You know what I mean? So maybe tomorrow they can announce Halo or Starfield's going. It will probably bother me because, like I said, I'm not at the level where I need to be. But if these games came out like next year for like PlayStation, I don't think I would actually care, because there's really nothing to gain other than arguing with people in list wars and whatever it is that we do in this space. That's the only benefit. It comes out, we buy it, or we play it, we consume it. Once I'm done. You know what I mean? It's again, there's a lot of maturity that needs to happen in this gaming space, and part of the reason why this gaming is going to take a long time to get to that space is that the audience isn't mature enough yet. The audience in gaming has not allowed the industry to move the way it needs to, because people are afraid. I think the Xbox One was probably the best console. Could have been the best console ever, but wasn't allowed to be because we weren't ready. We're too immature. But that's my video, guys. 40 minutes long, man. I'm gonna post this. I recorded this the day of the event late. I'm not posting the video at 11 p.m. So this is gonna have to go live at 10 a.m. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Planet Xbox Podcast, episode 30, RGT 85 will be in there. So make sure you subscribe to Weapon Will and the Weapon Will Patreon. And I'll see you guys on the next video. As always, man, Xbox is still the best box. I am the best bot. I know people, yeah, I lost my head. I didn't jump ship. I never said I would jump and going anywhere, but I was mad at Xbox. So, I was mad at Xbox, but at the end of the day, it's immature. It's immaturity. I will mature, and I'm still going to game. And I lied to you guys not. I lied to you guys not. I lied to you not. One last thing. People were reaching out to me when this Xbox thing was happening. They were sending me messages. And come on. They were sending me messages I got a message in regards to oh man, if I could find it, bro. I would love to find the message that someone sent to me about, hey, if Xbox going multi-plat, what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna game on? And this was like early. This was when the rumors were still hot. Right here. This is when the rumors were still hot. A whole freaking. He says, "Are you gonna keep the Xbox if this news is legit smooth?" I said yes. I could be mad at Xbox all I want, but I ain't getting rid of my Xbox or my games, though. That's my video, guys. Thank you for watching a whole 40 minutes. Peace.